is somebody skateboarding down the street, which I think is very cool. I just love the sound of that. I remember when I was in grade 8, I made a skateboard. I didn't make a skateboard. I bought a cheap skateboard at like Zellers or something. And then, let me just wipe the lens. And then I wanted to customize it. So I bought some spray paint, like fluorescent orange spray paint and white spray paint. And I painted my initials on it. And I would skate around the block. And then this guy, Dave, who lived on my street, actually, for some reason we weren't really friends or whatever, but I remember he was saying in high school that, I saw Josh, skating around the block. And my friend Ben defended me. He's like, so you were sitting in your bedroom looking out the window, just watching Josh skate around the block. And I don't know why that would be a thing that you can make fun of someone for, skating around the block, but apparently in high school that is. Look at him, silly, skating around the block. So that was fun. And so the sound of the skateboard on the pavement just kind of makes me feel very summery, and it makes me think, can I still do that? But I think, was it Jennifer Lopez or some star that's like 50, this is 50, and they're skateboarding around. Maybe it was Marissa Tomei or something, and I'm like, yeah, I can still do that. So I'm just going to do a quick summary of my day. What is the day? I'm going to say it's the 21st of May, 2021, and it's like 10:30. And so didn't do much today because last night was Actually, I just attended a speed dating. I didn't even host it, but for some reason then I was like, I'll have a little snack at 10:30, and then didn't go to bed till like 2. And then my CPAP machine, I woke up at like 9 or 8, and it said like 6 hours, 40 minutes. I'm like, that's, that means I only got like 5 hours sleep. That's not enough. And then, and then it was a thing where I'm like, okay, but I got to talk to like some of my suppliers and other countries. And I'm like, this is the time zone thing. And then it was like, okay, I'll try to sleep. This is like 11:30, like 12:30, I'm lying. And I think at noon, I'll try to fall asleep again. 12:30, I'm like, okay, enough of this. I'll just get up. And then I don't remember what I did. I decided, maybe I'll go to my friend Charles's store. He runs a computer store, and I want to fix my computer. It's been acting up. So maybe I'll visit him. Instead of jogging now, because I don't have time for that, I'll walk over to the store. That'll be my little exercise. And I texted him, like, are you in the store? And he never got back to me. So I'm like, I'll just sit here. And again, I can't remember what I was doing. I know I didn't eat. I just sat at my desk, and then whatever. So finally I decided at 4 o'clock to call him, and he answers like, oh, hey, yeah, no, I was busy, but I saw your text. Yeah, I'm at the store. You can come by. I'm like, cool. But then I wanted to dispute a charge on a credit card. So then I called that, and that went up taking like 45 minutes. And then I called Charles, said, I'm walking. Can you wait for me? Because he was going to leave the store at 5. And but he said we could go to a movie. He's like, since you're calling, now you're stuck with me. We're going to go see Mortal Kombat. I'm like, oh, God. Like, I don't like video games or video game movies, but whatever. It'll be a social thing. So I got there, and then, we drove over. We got a sausage and poutine at the food truck beside a store. It's delicious. But we both discovered, like, ooh, that's very filling. And I could barely finish it, even though I hadn't eaten anything all day. And then I realized, poutine is not something you get as like a side. You can get a sausage and fries, but poutine is a meal. So, lesson learned for all of you. And then, we went to this movie because it just opened up. There's like 2 theaters across the river in Quebec. And the one girl taking tickets is like, you don't have tickets? Oh, you can buy in the machine. I paid at the machine, and then the printer didn't work. There was out of paper. So she's like, oh, you can go talk to that guy. And we walk over, and like, there is no guy. And eventually we're just like, we've already paid. Let's just walk into the theater. Walked into the theater because, we were looking at the screen, and I thought it was a mistake. I'm like, what's the seat available? There's these 2. But it turns out, no, the entire theater was available. And he's like, well, do you want to pay extra for the the D seats or something? The D room or something? And I'm like, I don't think so. Why would we? I think we could probably sit anywhere. Anyway, so we just got a couple of regular seats. And, it was just us. And I think there was 3 other people, like a little family, like a few aisles up, and that was it in the entire theater. So basically it was like we rented a giant TV for ourselves, and the movie's actually pretty good. I don't really, again, not my thing, but and I'd watched a parody video on YouTube about it, like sort of making fun of the plot. This series on YouTube called Pitches, where it's this guy pitching to a producer, and he's done hundreds of these things, and they're awesome. You should check them out. Ryan George is his name. And And so I thought, okay, this is going to be awful, the plot and everything, but it was actually pretty good. It's a nice little story and good fighting, and 2 thumbs up from Josh. And then, and that was it. And then we drove back, so we had to give his computer to someone. And then I was trying to show him, I'm like, okay, I got to show you what my computer's doing before we completely wipe it. And then it wouldn't do it again. I was typing, and that little thing where the typing is messing up, it wasn't happening. I'm like, come on. I guarantee it'll happen the second I get home again. So whatever. He's like, well, I'm always here. And then we go outside, and I hear some ruckus, some guy yelling. And then I look over, and there's a guy smashing a phone booth. Just punching it, then smash glass everywhere, and then walking down the street. He's probably mentally ill, so he's like, bah, bah, he's swearing. And then he's like throwing like a metal sign across the sidewalk. And I'm like, geez. But Charles and I were upset. I'm like, that's not good. He can't do that. And Charles was like, yeah, people might need a phone booth. And I'm like, that's expensive to replace the glass. They might not even bother replacing it. So I ran down the street to get a picture of him and made a little video so that he could be identified. And then Charles caught up with me, and I called the police non-emergency line. And she's like, can you describe him? Was he white? And I'm like, yes. And I described what he was wearing and all this. And he said he was yelling to himself. And that was it. And then I was saying to Charles, like, oh, it's pretty exciting. She was like, do you still see him? I'm like, I don't see him anymore. She's like, all right, we'll head to the area. I'm like, wow, look at us. We're like a couple of cops. Charles and I were like Miami Vice. I'm Sonny, and he's, what are the names? Sonny Crockett and Tubbs? Somebody Tubbs? And Charles was like, isn't that exciting? We saw some Mortal Kombat, and then we had, we were cops there. And I'm like, yeah, so that was kind of a fun evening. And I told him some of my business ventures are happening this week, and so this might be the last weekend that I'm not a billionaire. So he's like, yeah, so enjoy it. Enjoy being a regular peon. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's it, because next weekend I should have $1 billion, and I'll just be walking around. I don't know, I'll go buy an island. Or we were talking about what to do with the money, because he was looking at the house that's a couple doors down from my parents, going, that's really nice, they finished it. I'm like, yeah, the guy who built our house built that one, and now he's living in it. And I'm like, yeah, when I have money, I could do that. I could make a nice little house. And he's like, yeah, you could buy the house beside your parents. I'm like, yeah, I could buy the whole block. And then I'm like, yeah, maybe I wouldn't, though. I wouldn't stay in Ottawa. I'd be like, okay, we're going to Santa Monica, everybody. Let's go. Getting out of here. No more cold. But anyways, so that's my day. And I posted one of these in one of the neighborhood groups on Facebook, because there's a new neighborhood group. And I think also in one, like just a regular group, but for the area. And I said, hey, what I'm doing is posting summaries of my day as kind of like a journal to have a record of my life. And I think I mentioned that because somebody else in one of the groups mentioned that she was journaling or something. I said, well, this is my form of journaling. And maybe that's what made me think, hey, I should show them my video. And then I posted my video, and one woman posted, oh my God, this is such a great idea. I want to start doing this. And maybe it was her, someone else was like, where do you store them? Where do you put them? So I'm going to comment. I'll be like, well, I put them on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And you can also just store them on your computer if you want. So maybe I'm starting a little movement. Maybe I could start a Facebook group where we all just do a nightly summary, and we can maybe type a few things. I mean, I guess that's what Facebook is. Just tell me about my day. You don't need a specific group within but maybe I've started a thing. So yeah, you'll notice that in the summer I like walking around the street back and forth doing my little summary. In the winter I do not like going outside, but I found that if I'm sitting in the basement all day, it get really dark. It's like just depressing. And then when I come out, I'm like, oh yeah, fresh air, there's a world out here. It really is nice to get outside and remind you there's a world out there. So I hope you all had a good day, and it's a long weekend in Canada. And if anybody wants to hang out, let me know. But don't smash any phone booths, because then I'm coming for you.